All right, everyone, let's play a game. It's the game that children often play. They ask young children, what superpower would you like? Some people might wish to read minds. Some people might wish for loads of money and fame. That's not. It's not just a novelty of flying, right? Flying over the air with the birds, looking down, that seems cool enough. But it was really about the freedom to transverse anywhere I wanted at all time. Luke just introduced me beautifully and mentioned I'm from Buffalo, New York. So the idea of fleeing south at any given quite appealing. So take that in today's era. What can we do to replicate flying? And the future is growth. I believe that is our next technological revolution. I know you were all expecting me to say AI, but we're going to keep AI out of today. And we're going to talk about how drones are going to be in the future. When we look at a map, right? Map of Atlanta, map of the United States, it's in two dimensions, north and south, east and west. What we don't have yet is that third dimension, which is height, which is traveling in the air. For most of us, we really don't get a lot of exposure to getting up in the air. Maybe the occasional work trip, the family vacation. You have to FedEx something overnight because you lost your passport. That's the only kind of time you're going to really get exposed to being in the air. So theme of tonight is challenge accepted. But we're going to accept the challenge of how to transform our cities from two dimensions into. So we're going to break tonight down into three different layers that drones are going to operate on. So the first is the delivery layer. So think about from 0 to 100 feet. And this is the most visible today. This technology is quite prevalent. So imagine drones delivering not only packages, but medication and things that you need to your door or to your window, which will be in the future, on a 15-minute basis. Over the last 10 years, we've gotten used to 2-day delivery. And that's great, right? I can order something and a couple sleeps later, it's going to be at my front door. But imagine it can come in 15 minutes. I bet someone on the way here tonight forgot something. I forgot some tissues. I forgot my gum. And I wish I could, I can't go back and get it, but I can, with a touch of a button, drone comes 15 minutes later, you have your thing. You might not even need to store as many things in your house if things could come within 2 minutes. You don't need to be stocking up because things are that quick to the trigger. Imagine if all of our stores operated 24/7. We don't need to just go in them during business hours or expect packages during the day. If it's 12 o'clock and I want some ice cream, no problem. Let's call it up. It'll get to my door in 15 minutes. You might say to me, great, but how does that actually change our day-to-day lives? Well, imagine this for a moment. All that 2-day shipping creates a lot of traffic. We live in Atlanta. We see traffic all the time. And so with all those delivery trucks and big trucks off the road, that will actually free up our traffic. I live somewhere where they're building new expressways. They're going to make 6, 7, 8-lane highways. They're still going to get congested. So the only way we can actually solve that problem is to take to the skies. So not only thinking about traffic as a linear path, but imagine it multiple layers in the sky. Some other stats I found interesting to support that I didn't know. Your average delivery truck, the ones that are powered by gas, they only get 6.5 miles to gallon. That's a lot of fuel. That's a lot of double parking in front of your house. Imagine being in Midtown Manhattan, right? Like delivery trucks are just an absolute menace. So the only way to solve this, to accept that challenge was to take the skies. I also learned delivery drivers, all great. They spend 60% of their time doing things outside of the truck. They're hopping over your gate. They're trying to get past your code. They might be running from the dog, but they're not actually delivering packages. Drones are going to operate 24/7, all day and night without complaints and hopefully, overclock the dog. So just a complete revolution in how we're going to operate at this delivery layer. Last one I think is very relevant is in terms of medicine. So if I need emergency medication, we need to do a tissue transplant in an emergency situation. That drone is going to operate so much faster. We can rise above the Atlanta traffic, and drone will be transporting medicine and other things quite. So this will be very visible to people in quite a path. Let's move to the next layer, which actually has the massive amount of impact. And that is what I'll call the maintenance layer. So drones are operating between 100 and 400 feet in the air. Tell a story that impacted me quite a bit. One of my really good family friends as a child, his house burned down. It was an unfortunate accident where the family had a bonfire out back. They thought they had put it out. They went to sleep. And it turns out that it started to catch on fire. So it got the deck on fire, and eventually the whole house went down. No one was hurt. It took a long time for it to happen, but here's where technology could have helped. So the fire department came, but they didn't have the right hookup. It took a while for the volunteer fire department to show up in the first place. The hydrant is actually their phone. Well, that was a problem. But they couldn't figure out in real time that they didn't have the right hookup. So imagine a 911 feature, right? I'm in trouble. I call for help. A drone, not have to worry about traffic or a donut or anything, is going to come see me and assess the situation. In my friend's case, it could have determined, hey, this is the nozzle that we need to go hook up to this hydrant. Perhaps this house would have been saved. Think about another 911 situation. We might need to assess, is this going to be a dangerous situation? How many people are going to be in the house? Or is it a fender bender? I once got stuck waiting an hour for a fender bender. And I think a drone could solve that rather quickly. So in the future, I think a lot of these problems will be solved. Moving to natural disasters, we recently have been faced with snow, and Atlanta's famous for their ice storms. So you can imagine in the future when these storms are happening in real time, drones can be out in the field actually surveying the situation. So imagine cell towers, which cell towers are going to need repair. Which power lines are on the trips and which are arcing? Where can the crews go? How can we divert the resources? Because it's no easy feat driving around town in big, heavy truck, when it's icy. The drones can do that for us and assess the situation. And that will change the way that we can survive these really horrible storms that are unfortunately going to be coming. Moving on to a more lighter topic where these can really make a difference is farming and agriculture. I had to learn a little bit about this. It's city folk are not necessarily the most in tune. You can imagine, I have a big field. It probably takes a lot of manpower to go out and work and survey those fields. So how about a drone? It just seems natural. I learned that 90% is the reduction in how long it takes to survey a field. Okay, there it's great. It takes faster, but let's expand more. If you can survey the field faster and they can literally get resolution down to an inch on plan, we can determine which of my crops have disease, which need more water, which need more energy. And we can reduce the amount of pesticides that end up going into our food and the amount of herbicide that we need. That is a tangible result. That just comes from a little flying piece of equipment. It's quite remarkable. Now let's move to, I think, the most intriguing layer. So we're going to go way out here. We're 100 to 400 feet. Now we're going to go above the naked eye. We're going to go to what I call the transit layer, between 1,000 and 4,000 feet. Take one thing away from this talk tonight. You go home or on your way out here, I want you to look up on your phone something called an eVTOL. So it's an electric, vertical takeoff and landing. It is the love child between a helicopter and a drone. White bars. Looks kind of like a big bobsled. Think about it with some propellers on it. And while this may seem science fiction, it's not. If you look at the recent proof of concept they did in Dubai 6 months ago, they were able to go from the Dubai airport to the Palms. Dubai are one of their very large hotels. It takes about 45 minutes. My car. This VTOL with a pilot and 4 passengers was able to make the journey in 10 minutes. It flies between 150 and 200 miles an hour, purely electric, almost silent. right? So you don't have to worry about a helicopter being super noisy. And it's actually easy to learn. There's a Wall Street Journal reporter who learned how to fly an eVTOL for 2 weeks and was able to be proficient. The FAA gives them the same safety rating as a Boeing 787. Meaning it's like 1 in a billion beyond the crash. There's that much automation that you could fly in it. It will fly itself to your destination and it will be just fine. Amazing, right? I looked this up. It would take 6 minutes to go from Mercedes-Benz Stadium to downtown Toronto, which is 20 miles away. 6 minutes. Imagine a future where we could all commute to work or a church or somewhere that quickly. It would change the way we live. It would change how we sell cities. It would change everything. And it is not hyperbole or not science fiction. It is here. So go look it up at home. It blew my mind and inspired me to give this talk. However, in the words of the famous Lee Corso on College Game Day, not so fast. Before we start talking about the next technological revolution, we do have some constraints we're going to talk about and what the challenge over the next 25 years is going to be to get to that point. So the first are the laws of physics. Unfortunately, no matter how much I talk and dance my way around, it's not get around the laws of physics. Right? To propel something into the air that has weight, you need a good amount of energy to propel that thing in the air, keep it in the air, and move it at a safe distance. We've come a long way with battery technology. Electric cars are proof of that. Right? Instead of over 25 years ago, we were nowhere. Now, self-driving cars are everywhere. I've taken them, a few of my colleagues have as well. So in the next 25 years, I'm confident you will get the battery technology to the point where it can easily propel people and things long distances at scale. But is it there today? Not 100%. I know there's a few lawyers in the room. I'm sure a few of you have thoughts about, well, who's liable? Crashes? Who's really in control of this? Software? Person? Is the manufacturer? I haven't answered all those questions yet, but I'm sure we will. We have some security people in the room tonight, including myself. How do we keep these secure? How do we make sure that these go where they say they're going to go? That whoever is supposed to be in control of it is in control of it. How do we know we're not strapping malicious things to it or crashing it? Right? These are all things that have to be worked out. We worked them out for the large part with cars and with jet planes, but we haven't gotten there with drones yet because they're the size of something that fits in the palm of my hand. They're essentially flying computers. It's quite a thing. So before we get to the Jetsons here, I wanted to say this is still going to take time, and the challenge is still going to be in front of us to get to where we need to go. So I'll leave you off with this, before we go planning the next revolution here. I know there are some of us in this audience who have a hard time picking on the 3 bicycles to prove you're not a robot. So before we go hand any of you a $40,000 agricultural drone, keep in mind that it's likely going to end up as a lawn dart of one of these nice homes outside. So for the sake of our food supply and the sake of the structural integrity of this building, let's leave the flying to the robots, everyone.